I got really sick. They thought I had pneumonia.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
There's quite a few people.
Actually, that pneumonia seems to be on the rise for some reason.
Yeah, I got to spend a nice day in the White Horse Emerge. But I'm thankful I went, because if I came here, who knows what would have happened.
You would have got some rest.
Yeah, like they gave, like on the spot, I had chest x-rays, I got blood cultures done, like everything results back within an hour, so. Yeah, I'm good, I'm better.
The 11?
11.
Oh.
You did that?
No, when we first got on.
Oh, I got one of those.
Yeah, when we first got on, they gave it to us and we had that roles and responsibilities thing. A couple things along point out.
I'd like to have one of those.
Good to see you back.
Thank you. It's nice to be back. It was a long time away.
Yeah, you've been gone for what, 3 weeks?
2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, yeah, long time. I went to Ottawa, I went to White Horse, I came back, and my plane got struck by lightning, I thought I was gonna die.
Jesus Christ, don't tell me that.
Yeah. I left Vancouver, coming to White Horse, or coming to Yellowknife. Plane got struck by lightning. Yeah. I'm here.
Okay, I want one of these.
Yeah, Maca has those, yeah, we'll get you some. Yeah.
Don't say, I guess. Ask
Well,
Daryl. Daryl can get it for us.
Oh, yeah, he would do.
Daryl probably has some of those.
Daryl, do you have some of these hiding somewhere?
Not just the Maca.
Yeah, those when we did that.
Holy, look at that, yeah.
T4 and a notebook.
You're all
Yes.
set. See you go away, come back and get presents.
Yes. Well, I had, I don't know if it's getting full anyways, this is perfect. Thank you. I was writing on motions.
I had an agenda and I didn't bring it.
It's right there, I
Yeah.
guess. We'll go.
The best location for a television.
Well, let's start our meeting on time. And so we'll call our meeting to order. And you can see the agenda out there. Does anybody have any extra items they would like to add for discussion tonight? All right, then we'll adopt the agenda. Show of hands, everybody's good with the agenda the way it is? All right, thanks. And any declarations of interest in any of those items you see on the screen? All right, thank you again. Counselor absences, well, we don't officially take a reading on that, but we know we're down 3 tonight. Maybe they'll show up here shortly. Yeah. And delegations, we were going to ask the RCMP Sergeant, John Cormier, to attend, but he is out of the community, I believe.
Yeah, we had some issues down south, so he's not able to get back, so.
Okay, so the next available committee meeting or regular meeting, we'll see if we can get him to attend when he's available.
We did circulate those report to council.
Right.
Council had that, so.
Okay. And then item 7, reports and discussion matters. We do have, as you mentioned, the RCMP report. And if anyone would like to comment on the report or take note of any particular items there.
Regular report.
Yep, it's basically the regular report. I did notice in the report, it said something along the lines of they're continuing to look at drugs in the community. They know that's one of the priorities of the community to look into, and that we continue to investigate and collect information. I noticed something along those lines, so that's good, you know. Yes.
I remember last year, they came in and talked about the priorities of council or the priorities for them for the fiscal year.
Right.
Was that January or March? Or do they do that again?
We asked for them.
That was just in the fall, wasn't it?
That's why I wanted
I
to
remember
come
when that
in
was.
to explain their priorities
Yeah.
and see if we as a council can do anything to help them out.
Right.
Right? There's lots we can do.
In terms of the developing of those priorities, they used to end,
Okay.
now it's not so frequent. So
Okay.
the questions to ask staff sergeants.
They
Yeah.
did come and, we did talk about priorities with them.
Right.
When was that?
That's a long time ago.
Was it last year?
Yeah.
I wasn't on, sorry.
Well,
Priorities of bylaw officer committee.
so in their report, they speak of their priorities under
Yeah.
their annual performance plan, the crime reduction, contributing to a safe and well community, and the road safety. So
I just didn't know, like, if those are updated Januaries, like, or if those are new ones, or if they're standing, like, staying as they were last year. Anyway, that's, it's
No, good
okay.
question for.
I just want to know if they've shifted their focus, so.
Right.
Or have they achieved any of their goals?
Mhm.
As ongoing and ongoing, could just be that.
Yeah. Okay, and 7B, operations report on emergency preparedness. So is this you, Daryl?
this is our ops manager, Mitch Gass, who will speak to some of our plans to date and where we're going, and answer any questions you folks may have.
Hi, Liza. Hey,
Welcome back.
okay.
Mr. Gass, you have the floor.
Hey, we missed you on Saturday.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, breakfast.
we'll let you go this time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
She's pretty steady.
We did good. We're good job, you guys. Glad to be back.
Welcome, everybody. The item on the agenda was emergency preparedness. We'll talk about that for a second, and then I want to devolve into some actual actions we need to do, I feel, in this community. Emergency preparedness, a number of meetings are going on currently with RWED, with MACA, EMO. We've come with some great ideas, stealing a few ideas off other communities. Does anybody, I just caught on the radio heading home this evening about a meeting ENR was having, or ECC was having with one community, was at Hay River tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, informing them.
I don't know if it's, I think it was just the town.
Yeah, but I think ECC was going to be there and inform them of the town was putting it on, but ECC was going to inform them of their plans, their forecasts and so forth. I think we all know what's going on with ECC local here. We're terrified, it's dry. We're probably, yeah, worse than extreme, I would say. We're thinking about a meeting. Sean, have you thought of a date for a public meeting like this one?
To discuss that.
It would be like something similar to what we had before when the year after the flood, we did a big public meeting where all our emergency people and different agencies were able to talk to the public. We had a Facebook Live thing going. It was at the community hall. So we could do something like that in the way of emergency preparedness. We could do that in, say, early April. It could be like two-way feedback. There could be input from the public, but also a lot of relaying information about what the agencies and ourselves are doing, what people can do. So give them enough time to actually prepare a little bit. So we can't wait too long. It's gonna have to be, I mean, somewhere between now and the middle of April at the very latest. But
Okay, so maybe I'll break in there right now. What have we got for meetings scheduled, public meetings in the next little while here? How are we looking at community planning?
We'll know more in about 30 minutes.
Okay, so we don't know yet.
No,
Do we anticipate community planning before the end of March?
No.
Okay. I would suggest we start, as far as the wildfires are concerned, we start literally immediately. If I had the time, I would have started today. Well, my idea is to have a public meeting probably within the next 7 to 10 days, okay, at the rec center. Community hall, large public meeting, input, have ENR there, let them bring everybody up to, speed on their thoughts. I would like to have potentially, a number of consultants we've dealt with wildfire mitigation. Their reports at least read at that meeting. If they wish to be there virtually, that's fine. I don't think any of them will be able to be there in person. Allow the community to have time to give their primary feelings and feedback to us. And then I'd like to put on a little video show, maybe 3 or 4 short videos to explain to them what the wildfire professionals feel our worst danger is. What's our worst danger, other than fuels near the community? What's our worst danger? Is it a forest fire slamming through wild rose? Or is it like embers dropping on houses? What's council's feeling on that?
Wild Rose.
Wild rose for sure, 100%. But if houses are gonna burn, why are they gonna burn?
Because it's fuel.
Yeah.
Come on.
Do you have an answer?
Houses are fuel. Houses are hard to ignite. The worst part is a lot of people feel, and I used to be of that feeling as well, that when the fire phase, I don't know the right terms, the fire phase rolls through, those trees go up and they zoom past the community, okay? We're standing there, right? The radiant heat on our faces, we're gonna feel burned, right? Almost immediately with that radiant heat. But that doesn't ignite a house.
It's the ashes and the.
Right, it can take 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes of that sustained heat, which we'd be fried in to burn that house. That fire's gone past. It isn't those big trees, those fire breaks that are stopping that fire. It's those embers, right? Falling on the roof, on the burnable material around the base of the house, falling in between the deck boards and letting stuff under the deck on fire. So I think the first thing is to convince people that the scientists do know their science, right? Fire smarting, that's the key. Like not all 100%, but that's a big chunk is fire smarting. So maybe a little video, there's a couple short videos I've shown a few people and they get it really quick. Pick and choose pretty good. But fire smarting is a big deal. Now, we know that we can't technically go fire smart private property. We're gonna do our property, the village property, the municipal property, okay? That's another question. Question is, came up the other day, I was thinking, we've got these trail crews that are supposed to be working all summer on these walking trails. Maybe, and this wouldn't cost us any money, is to redirect them to fire smarting private properties, okay? It would be council's decision, obviously, and then we could design a hierarchy of how they did that. Maybe elders first, or the most risky properties, you know what I mean? We could plan something there, but that wouldn't impact our budget at all. We're gonna pay that trail crew this summer, it's already budgeted for the foreman, the employees, that's already budgeted for. Just direct them off the trails for this summer and strictly to fire smarting. Easy thing to do and wouldn't impact our budgets at all.
Are they tree fallers? Like, do they have tickets?
No, so, they basically just do brushing, right? 90% of fire smarting is brushing. It's not felling big trees. We do have a few people in the community with the right certifications that we can pull when necessary. I'll bring this into a little more into this later. But, I just thought that there's a resource we have that, why are we worried about walking trails this summer when the community's at risk, okay? And it doesn't impact our budget. So I'll drop that one for now, but that was a buggy area. I don't know if Daryl's planning on talking about structure protection at all tonight. I'm sure he
Yeah,
is.
we alluded to it last week at the meeting.
So maybe this is the right time to expand on it and then we'll move
Yeah.
forward. Sure, you do your thing.
So we talked about a couple of scenarios. One being having I can't remember the terminology for it, a structure protection
Mitigation.
trailer.
Trailer.
So that would be something we would bring on, basically on retainer for a 6-month period to, and it's not here on site, it's on call for when we need it. And it would be available to us when and if we pull the trigger and make that call. There is a cost to that, and it will be absorbed in our budget. And so we want to do that. We also have received.
Let's stop there for a second. I can see there's probably a lot of questions
What's
here.
a structural what? Like just a trailer?
Structure protection trailer.
Okay, does anybody know what that refers
So,
to?
yeah, what is that, just like a
Okay.
command center or what?
We're talking about a 20-foot enclosed trailer containing pumps,
Yeah.
suction lines, hoses,
Okay.
roof sprinklers,
So it's literally a
access, blah, blah,
storage,
blah.
a
So
storage
all-
trailer with all this equipment.
Right, all the stuff to protect homes or structures, okay, for a certain amount. We're thinking of that, like Daryl said, there's a cost involved. It would be on call in southern BC in the Colwyn area, okay, 24 hours, it's here type of thing, okay? The cost is not, small, okay? We'll just bring the cost out here. Cost is $10,000 a month, with a minimum of 6 months, okay? So that's $60,000, right? That's a lot of money on standby. We call, we say, get it up here within 24 hours, we start throwing the equipment out there, it's what, an extra $3,500 a day, okay? At that point, I'm not worried about cost, because it's all recoverable as far as I'm concerned. If we keep houses from burning down, that's great, so I'm not worried about the $3,500 a day if we action it, but it's gonna be 60 Gs out of our pocket, just to have that available, okay? Huge benefit, and I'm speaking on behalf of Tyler Pilling Fire Department as well, they would love to see that available to us, okay? Having said that, is ENR's responsibility to have sprinklers available for us? Does Enbridge have stuff we can use for free?
That should all be in your inventory for your PMO.
Both are correct, right? So Enbridge's stuff is actually a little too large for our needs. ECC, sorry, I always say renewable. ECC does have a lot of stuff. Last year, we had a problem. Nothing was available, but we had a lot of fires in both Yellowknife, Smith, Hay River, Enterprise. There was nothing available. We made the call. No, nothing. You're not getting anything, not even one hose. So we hate to see that happen. Who knows what's gonna happen this summer? New decisions that have to be made. People have to stick their neck in, right? So we're talking about that structure protection trailer with the equipment involved in that, entering into a room with that. That's a potential possibility. On top of that.
Can I ask just a
Yeah, sure.
question? If you were to estimate the cost of all that material inside that trailer, how much would you say it costs?
Right, exactly.
We're gonna buy one next year.
Or put one together ourselves next year.
Yeah, like how much is the cost of all the materials in it?
I mean, the thing is, I mean,
Heard it's supply now, like it's hard to even get the stuff that you need, but
you got it. And that's why we're not even going there at this point. I'll touch on something else in a few minutes that'll go right up that alley as well.
okay.
So fire protection trailer option, right? Fire department thinks it's a very, very good idea. Consultant thinks it's a very, very good idea. On top of that, we're thinking, we'd like to purchase, let's call it a homeowner's package of roof sprinklers, okay? So that simply consists of 2 roof sprinklers for structure protection, 2 brackets. These sprinklers mount on the eaves troughs, just hang on the eaves troughs. They're put up with a painter's pole, so you don't have to have a zoom boom or anything to put them up. There are brackets included, so if you don't have eaves trough, which a lot of houses don't have eaves trough here, brackets can get screwed on. Again, then it's a zoom boom, but then maybe we bring our zoom boom in from the landfill with our basket and put these brackets up for them. Then you've got sprinklers on your house. Includes the sprinklers, brackets, 2 sprinklers, 2 brackets, 2 hoses, right? What did they quote for those packages?
100 of them, 17 grand.
It's about 170 per home to put 2 sprinklers on the roofs, right? It's very good, very good. If we were to action that, obviously that's money out of our pocket right now. We intend on doing a loan program so we can maintain inventory at the end of the year and try to control losses and so forth. So that's another thing. We'd like to action both the trailer and the sprinklers for the public. We can work on the numbers as far as how many. I'm mainly concerned with Wild Rose, but if you want to talk about potential buildings in town that need to be protected, and there will be a few, we can throw that into the mix too, so we have to work up the base, the overall numbers. Now we talked about the trailer, the potential of supplying sprinklers or loaning sprinklers that we own to community members. Where are they gonna get their water, right?
Yeah, on the hill.
So that's the next thing. How far village council wants to get into this with their money is one thing, right? I'll leave that to you guys. But I'll tell you what I'm doing, okay? I've already priced all the pools out. I've done the math on the volumes the pools hold. I know how many dollars I have to spend per cubic meter of water storage with a, portable pool from Canadian Tire, that type of thing. So there's a lot of stuff available. Portable pools in the backyard, maybe the village fills them up for free type of thing. They've got the water storage in the backyard relatively cheap. A pool for $400 from Canadian Tire will put almost 10,000 liters stored in your backyard, okay? You've got more outbuildings to protect, a larger garage or something like this. There are larger ones available, but the cost per cubic meter stored obviously is gonna go up to a degree. In some cases it goes down, but generally it goes up because the pools get a little fancier. Right? So pool storage, they also need a pump, okay? You've got to get the water out of the pool either to the sprinklers directly or into the domestic tank if they have good domestic pumping capability in their house. I think Russell will stand up for this, that the majority of the homes in Fort Simpson do not have good domestic pumping systems in their homes. They'll fall far shy. I've been in many homes here that you're lucky when the water tank's full if you can get water out of the taps, let alone run the sprinkler, with 60 PSI. So you're looking at a pool, a pump, and a sprinkler system. You tell them the sprinklers are great, out of town, you've got to consider, there's no sense giving somebody sprinklers that they can barely run their tap because their pump's 20 years old and their tank's, 2 foot in diameter type of thing. There are a few of those around. So these are the things we're looking at, and we're doing the pricing on them as well, right? There are pump hose packages available from Princess Auto. I drink a lot of this stuff with Les because he's kind of into this stuff. But there's some really good pump packages available at Princess Auto. I've actually purchased a number of them over a few years, and the quality seems to be there, right? You know what I mean? I'm actually having a couple shipped up this week for myself, but maybe we could do a group purchase for the community or something of that nature. Whether you want to subsidize or not, that's a secondary question, eh? But the more we buy, the easier it is for people. There are certain people, I'll point this one person up at Wild Rose that has a well that is going to have lots of water in, most likely at the end of the year. The neighbor of that person has a pond in the backyard of the spring that flows 24 hours a day, seven days a week, 365 days a year. So
This year?
yeah, amazing, absolutely amazing. So there are a few properties, but the majority of them are going to need water storage. I think the whole pool idea and us supplying water, whether it's with our crews delivering water, filling their pools, or subsidizing our contractor to do it, I think that's a wise idea. Again, this is all for discussion. We don't have to fill the pools with bottled water, so there's a little savings there. Although we do have the capacity to do that. I'm trying to think where I want to go from here. Didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this. The fire smarting, let's talk for a moment about the DMAP funds. So tomorrow morning, RFP is going out. It's ready to go. I just haven't posted it yet. It's getting posted tomorrow morning. Most of the contractors, well, all the contractors that potentially will want to get in on it, that are of any size, have their ducks in order already pretty well. I expect within a week, we're gonna have some decent proposals. I currently set a closing date of the 20th of March, okay? If we wanna speed that up, slow it down, that's fine, slowing it down, we can do it anytime.
It's a proposal for what?
Basically, the wildfire fuels mitigation, that's that $1 million, potential $1 million that we have to spend, so.
So how much are we planning on spending of that $1 million?
That's right, so we'll see what the proposals come in at. I'm sure the majority of them are gonna put in hourly rates for certain equipment and then estimates, and it's not gonna be a fixed price. Having said that, I'm still hammering on NWTAC to get back to the feds and free up some of that money so we can spend it on sprinklers,
Yes.
fire protection equipment,
Yeah.
pumps, pools, water in the pools.
Yeah.
Honestly, 50-50 right now. I don't know if the feds are gonna shake on
But
that.
that's
on that one.
mitigation.
My
Based on the community.
my idea it is, right, and all our forestry consultants, as well as everybody that's involved and has been involved in wildfire fighting or mitigation over the years, says the same thing. They'd rather see the majority of that money spent on equipment and training, whatever, to directly protect structures rather than just whacking trees down on a cut line 10 kilometers out of town, you know what I mean? Less,
But that's CNR's job, or ECC's job, right?
sooner or later, a decision's gotta be made. Are we gonna push, are we gonna spend our time on the phone and writing letters, pushing certain governmental departments to do what we think is their job? Or we're gonna actually action something? You know what I mean? Like, that's not my job to make that decision. Personally, I'm terrified of wild rose. I'm a wild rose person. I get it.
It's not
I
mine.
get it. One spark up there, we're done. We're done.
So
You should have insurance.
I'm really interested in the subject of well sites.
Mhm.
You know, I know the backcountry up on the other side of the highway up there is all wetland.
Yeah.
Like, we can actually utilize that wetland for well sites.
Right, we have good spring up there right now that we know of.
Like, we can have well sites all over our wetlands.
Mhm.
We're surrounded, this community is just surrounded by
Mhm.
wetlands. And these are things we should really be looking at.
Right. So again, this is actually opening up the topic to short-term planning and long-term planning.
Yeah.
Right now, we're looking at the summer. We are keeping our minds open for next year, the year after, the year after that. This is gonna go away, okay? So there's long-term planning, developing scenarios like that, large tankage, stuff like that. We had discussed 400-barrel skid tanks in certain locations. That unfortunately only works if you've got a way to take it out of those skid tanks and get to the residents. I'll talk about one other thing. So we talked about the trailer, we've talked about the sprinklers. Another thing we like to see, and this is back to the DMAF money, we don't have anything budgeted for this, but with the DMAF money, if we can free it up and give us more, if the feds will give us more lateral spending on that. Skid-mounted tanks, pumps, hose reels that go in the back of a half-ton, three-quarter-ton truck. Who's already checked the internet and found out what's available in Canada and what's in stock? Anybody? Unbelievable. I'm actually shocked at that, actually shocked. I wish I had time to do up a little presentation for you, but amazing amount of stuff available. Like, it's not cheap, but it's basically skidded on a truck. You got a bush truck. You know, the fire department wants a bush truck. They've got one budget, how many years down the road?
Next year, maybe.
Okay, so next year, a bush truck. Spending $250,000 on a three-quarter-ton pickup truck with a 200 or 200-gallon tank on it, a pump and a hose reel. There's a lot of other fancy stuff on it, okay? Maybe a remote control monitor on the front. That's great, that's a lot of money. But these skid-mounted units, you can throw on any village truck, any personal truck, and start hitting houses. A hell of a lot of savings. Me personally, in the past, what I've done is just use the, what do they call them, ICB containers? Those are the skid-mounted tanks. You throw one of those on the truck, a couple Camlock fittings to Princess Auto, $300 pump, piece of hose, you got 200+ gallons and you're off to the races. Super cheap to set up. It isn't pretty, but it works. And everybody's doing that nowadays, right? All over California, Texas, they're doing the same thing. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's a lot of people hurting a lot worse than us that have done it before, okay, so. Skid mounted tank assemblies that can just go on any pickup, great. They can even go on a trailer, you know? Little tandem axle trailer, Village owns 3 trailers. There's 3 trailers you can put on, you're not even tying up a pickup truck, right? So there's a lot of things we can look at. Tonight, I think one thing to look at is what does the village want to do as far as financial obligation towards this? How much money do you guys want to spend? Do you want to trim budgets in certain areas? We talked about potentially taking the trail crew and strictly fire smarting with them. That won't impact us at all, and the trails can stand a year without maintenance, okay? That'll be okay. Do you want to do more? We had brought up, what do you call it, potential subsidies for this, that, or the other thing. These are the kind of things that need to be talked about. If they're not gonna happen this year, let's call it long-term planning next year, the year after, and push it off the table right now. And think of things we really need to discuss right now. Because time is of the essence, right? So let's talk this summer, right? It's great, we have plans, but let's not get caught up in the discussion about what's gonna happen next year, the year after. As long as we're aware of it and you've got ideas for down the road, bring them up. Then they're planning in our minds. But we've got to decide what we're doing this year and fast. Purchasing this stuff, receiving it in the community, and training people to use it. It's critical.
I'm just thinking financial, like with that, the money from the feds, would it help if you had like other people writing? Like,
Right, and we've
you
already
have,
done
like,
that.
You've done that already?
So all our consultants that we
Yes.
work with, some of them,
Right.
none of them actually paid by us. It was all volunteer stuff. Thank you, Enbridge. Thank you, NWTAC and a couple of other organizations. We're all the same consensus, so that's what we're pushing with the NWTAC, is to shove this down the Fed's throat. Personally, I don't think they're being aggressive enough.
Mhm.
So tomorrow I'm gonna talk to them and see if I can go over their head and go straight to the federal government. I'd rather not, NWTAC, I love those people, but I don't think they're being aggressive enough. We may be one of the few communities that is very strong on spending money in that way. The other communities may think it's fine to cut a little fire break, and if our house burns, so be it. I don't think this community thinks like that at all. I think we're a little different demographic than some of the smaller communities,
Some of the smaller communities already cut all the trees in their town and, right? They started last year with the money, then they did it by hand.
Yeah.
And they're finished.
Yeah.
Or not finished, but, they're 95% finished.
Yeah.
So what did we do since we got this $1 million last year?
We have not tapped into the $1 million. We've just used our own resources and some volunteer resources in town.
How about the clearing down there? We didn't use any of that? That was all
We haven't
hand.
touched it, yeah.
That was all by hand?
Yeah.
What that cost?
It was either us or volunteers. It was all done in-house or volunteers.
Then a day
Cost
or,
Yep.
Costs what we would normally spend.
yeah,
In-house stuff.
we didn't take them out of that $1 million?
No, I have not touched 1 cent of that $1 million.
So couldn't that be money or an area where that $1 million can be diverted to, and then that budget can be freed up to purchase something that's not eligible under that funding?
The way the funding agreement works, no.
Okay.
I have to get them to change their quote-unquote reporting requirements, what I'm allowed to claim, what I'm not allowed to claim. You know what I mean? So just cutting trees is one thing. We have expanded,
Who's volunteering to cut those trees?
different organizations, yeah. Surprising. We have expanded our cutting beyond what was in our wildfire protection plan. So, at that time, I'll print you out
Stay on people's
look at
land.
that. But a lot on the island, the golf course is gonna be bare. The other side of the airstrip, we'll take that back as far as we can. Again, it depends on the numbers, right? I hate to spend the majority of that money on just clearing trees and then find they will allow us later on to spend it on direct structural protection equipment, right? So it's a gamble. it's a gamble. But once the numbers come in, we put enough out there that will be obviously below that $1 million, and we can just keep feeding work to them.
So are we
As
gonna
we
do more
figure it would be
contractors than one? How do you, like, are we gonna look to hire maybe multiple contractors? Time
Generally,
is of
generally,
the essence, and
I
it's
think
spend
what
the
we'll
money.
see within the next week is that the contractors have already been talking amongst themselves, and I think you'll find one is gonna be the leader, take the contract, and everybody's gonna work for that one contractor.
Yeah.
And, it's gonna happen, yeah, pull all the resources.
I have a question. No, I lost my train of thought when you said that.
Right.
Public meeting. No. Public meeting. Could we have that for the beginning, first week in April? I just think there's lots of people out right now for spring break and, like people that live on the hill that are away for spring.
Yeah, again, that's up to council, whether you want to have a
After
meeting, I'm
Easter.
thinking the sooner the better, that's
Yeah,
all.
like the first week in April, right after Easter, that first week.
Um,
You think that's too
It's
late?
like April 2nd.
Well, no, it's like 2 weeks.
It's never too late, but it's never too early.
I can do like April 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th.
I think irregardless of a public meeting, we would discuss it this morning, we'd like to start putting stuff on, the Lord Simpson Bulletin. How that they'll start posting videos and stuff, and little things people can start watching and get their minds straight on what potential we could burn their house down, how fire smarting is good, and how to properly fire smart. We can start feeding this stuff out literally tomorrow morning, eh? And I'm thinking the bulletin would be the best way. I think everybody's on that does Facebook. It's notifications as soon as something gets posted. I don't think that many people actually look at the village website or the fire department, the village, Port Simpson Fire Department website. I think the bulletin is really the
I
way to
think the
go.
direction would be to choose one of those two and then just share it so that the people do start eventually coming back to the main page, because you're gonna flood it out of the bulletin and then people stop looking there too.
Mhm.
But I think included in just the, like, not just the videos of what they need to do to fire smart their house, but also like this is what you need to put in your emergency bins. This is how you need to prepare,
Kind of like the.
Absolutely.
prepare your evacuation.
I may be
your
overlooking a
documents.
lot of that stuff because
Yeah.
usually Tyler deals with that kind of stuff, the evac stuff. eh? So,
But I think that also should go out at the same time.
Absolutely,
It's
yep.
hand in hand.
absolutely.
And I think that not just on Facebook, because we heard that at a public meeting, people don't always use Facebook. They wanted to see something in the mailbox or door to door even, but
Right.
in time and essence, I think just putting out one pager, like
Right.
we do for the flood thing.
Right, so I was just saying that the whole Facebook thing is good, that maybe there's certain venues in Facebook that work a little better, but definitely the mailers.
Don't underestimate the power of Tegan,
Hmm.
right? Like Tegan's
Right,
got a
right,
lot
and
of
I do-
power there
I do
through
from time to time, yeah.
the radio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Bingo, could be intermission.
They'll get it. Just mad.
Well, I mean, what does council think though about actually spending money on equipment in advance so that we can actually say we did something, other than just telling people what they should do?
Well, what's the
Because that's
priority?
gonna be the big question. What are you doing? What are we doing? If all we're doing is,
No, I
putting
think,
out videos, telling people what they have to do, get your insurance, we're no better really than the territorial government, just
well,
saying.
we're a government. Let's
So
not
if
forget
we
that.
want
We're
to
a
do
government.
more, then we actually have to do something along the lines of what Mitch is suggesting in the fire department, which is actually buy some equipment or have it
I
ready.
really like
That's
the
awesome.
idea of buying equipment instead of renting
Yeah,
$60,000
I don't like
and then
renting
$3,500.
We don't get nothing.
Absolutely agree. So this is kind of last minute stuff, obviously, because this year, that trailer, if I'm not mistaken, that, we'd be putting a $10,000 a month, option on and paying $60,000 for 6 months, another $3,500 per day of use. They do have agreements that you can then purchase it after that. We can negotiate something like that. But if I'm not mistaken, that trailer was $250,000 trailer equipment. Capital cost if you want to buy it outright. It's just numbers to think about. It's a lot of money. And, I think Cindy mentioned, how much would it cost to put something that together? That seems like a lot of money.
You just said
That seems like a lot of money. So if we can hold off for a year, and put something like that together ourselves, maybe we could do it for like $1.25 or something like that, eh?
We should be checking with our partners out there, like Rose and Noah and Ian, on what have they got?
Yes.
Well, absolutely, absolutely.
What have they got?
We've got a very good list.
Or maybe we can go halfers. I just wanna go halfers on stuff.
Yeah, we've got a very good list of what is available in the community already, and then we just keep updating it. Tyler's just doing an update right now, so we'll know exactly everything that's available and what shape it is. Is it 100% ready to go, is it 50% ready to go, or is it? So, because there's a lot of equipment that even Village has that can't be termed 100% reliable, you know what I mean?
Aside from the redirection of the trail crews, Daryl, I'm not sure if you've had a minute to look to see what other suggestions can be made for reallocating our budget dollars or any other line
Well-
items that can be.
What we had talked about is there's a couple of items, one specifically the capital plan for a water study. And, you know, I would suggest we reallocate those monies this year. If we're going to do this commitment, that would basically cover all the costs. There is, I don't call them padded numbers or anything, but there's other opportunities to pull out of certain line items to create that capacity. So it's not something that, from a budget perspective, that's going to hamper us.
Could we get a loan to buy what you're saying we should lease? Can we just spread it out over 4 or 5 years to get a loan? Our
It's an
loan.
option, it's just like the fire truck or the wastewater treatment
That's right.
plant.
And some
Exactly.
of these loans are coming to the end, right? I think our fire truck is now at the end.
Yep.
This is gonna be for the fire department anyway.
Yeah, wastewater plant, I think we're only, what, a month or two away. Yeah.
So I mean, the town has good credit with the banks, and we can spread that over 4 or 5 years.
I like that idea
Just
better.
buy that piece of equipment and have it sitting actually right here in Fort Simpson instead of BC, which makes me wonder.
Yeah, financially, that will have
Yeah,
to
and
be
then
that
we can
in
rent
for
it to
sure.
other communities.
Yeah.
For
Or to
10,000
ECC.
For 10,000 a month.
Well, we know the rental price, that's right.
Yeah. I think that's a
So, I
great.
mean, that would have to be vetted, but great idea.
So could I ask for the consensus of council for us to pursue the purchase option through a loan agreement? For that? Now, I don't know if we can get it.
See, that was a question too that the manufacturer had as well. It's so late to see, can they produce a trailer?
Likely no.
But I'm sure that if they've got one on standby, that it's probably on standby for 2 or 3 different.
Yeah, they probably have multiple on standby.
Sure, that's how you make money, right? It's business. But, you know, they didn't say no, that they could not supply a trailer at this time. So it was not a definite no, but they were very concerned if they could or not.
Who would call it if they come in, we need you now, you know, who makes that call?
The EOC.
Why is that?
Yeah, well, even if like that, the bigger equipment is not available
Mm.
for us to purchase, you know, at least we can start planning with the sprinkler systems for the homes.
Yeah.
Right, and that's a minor cost that we
Yeah,
can
at
absorb
least-
without even
At least
thinking about it.
initiate something
Mhm.
quick.
Les?
Yeah.
I don't think buying this particular thing, because it seems like you guys came into the plan that we're gonna buy this or rent it or whatever, right? Before we had the meeting, so,
Well, they're doing their homework. They're not
not really.
We haven't made any commitments.
No.
No, we haven't, but you want us to vote on it right now?
No,
Or you want us
First
to
we look
agree on
at
it, okay? So you mentioned Princess Auto, right? I can walk into Princess Auto and buy 30 pumps right, like tomorrow.
I wish I could too, or I'd probably be in a truck right now with a trailer. I searched all the Princess Auto stores and they have limited stock. I'm surprised. I can find like 8 pumps in Grand Prairie because I hear there's fires down there already, so. I'm
Yeah, I was down
surprised
there.
this Stuff hasn't moved.
Maybe 6 weeks ago, and I seen, like I was in Edmonton,
Yeah.
I seen all kinds of pumps.
Mhm.
Okay, and hoses, right? They had all kinds of fire hoses.
I absolutely agree. I would love to pull a trailer through Edmonton, down to Edmonton and back and load it up with every useful pump, not trash pumps, but high pressure
Oh,
pumps.
yeah, it looked like
Yeah, you got it.
2-inch,
You got it,
whatever, right?
Yeah, hoses,
Uh,
yeah. I'd love to do that.
I drove by 15 tank building places, right? You walk in there and you say, I want 20 of those, they'll say, come back Friday.
Mhm.
right?
We hope.
So we shouldn't be saying we'll spend $250,000, borrow $250,000.
We're certainly not, right?
Well, that's what he just said.
No, he said he was gonna look into it.
He said, can we borrow money to buy this thing, right? There's gotta be 20 different options
Sure.
than just that one.
Pools are probably the cheapest option, because you've got water on each site at each home. If we commit to filling, I like the pools personally, I really do.
And we should be thinking rebates for,
Mhm.
right?
Agree,
You know,
absolutely agree.
if you do something like that, we'll give you a rebate,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, because I think you're, just going along with that, I think, people are asking, well, you've got $1 million, how come you're not doing anything with it? And what's there for us if you're telling us we have?
Yeah, but again, and this is.
That
where
million
people
doesn't-
confuse.
I
Yeah,
know, I
It's
know.
not transferable yet.
I
I'm
know.
still working on it.
I know that, but they don't know that,
No, I understand that, yeah.
and it's caused some, I have had some.
But this is why we're talking, right? There's opinions. There's like, let's go kind of do it on the cheap, but have more volume. I'm totally in agreement with that. I don't wanna blow, hundreds of thousands of dollars or even tens of thousands of dollars per month for an option on something, especially when it's not in the community. That is not a perfect scenario. I'd rather see sprinklers on the roof of the house, a pump in the backyard, a pool and water. And it's like, if they want to spray their house, they do it right now, right? And it's there. I like that better personally, right? What option does council want, right? There's probably gonna be some more options that pop up over the next few days too, right? But, whatever we do, we're gonna have to make a decision pretty quick as far as, structure protection goes. Because things will sell it quick. The more those fires start down south, Princess Auto is gonna be a joke, man.
Alberta's already having.
Yep.
Well, are there other places that sell similar type setups that we could put a little tender and see what type of?
If we're talking, if we start talking about the tank pump rigs that go on the back of a pickup truck, there's tons of them. Everybody's into that racket. There's literally 1,000 different companies producing that stuff, from Texas up to Winnipeg, right? Right across the North American continent. So there's lots of sources for that stuff. You can pick up one here, one there. There's some really good ones, there's some relatively cheap economic ones, right? They use poor quality valves and stuff. Just options to look at. How much money does council want to put in for stuff? I would like to at least see at Wild Rose, a pool in everybody's backyard, a pump and a sprinkler system on all the major buildings. That's what I'd like to see a minimum. I then would like to see at least maybe 2 skid mount units for pickups, so they could run around and do spot fires. That would be my minimum.
So cost out your minimum,
Pardon me?
cost out that minimum,
Exactly,
so we can have a better idea of what
exactly.
we would be, our commitment would be financially.
mhm.
Because it's hard to say, go
Yeah.
spend this or go do that without.
For instance,
something.
doing it on the cheap with ICB tanks, we're probably talking 50 grand for sprinklers and a couple of pump truck setups. That's on the cheap if we want to go that route, but it'll do the job, right?
For the short term, yeah.
Yep, it will actually, and that's, I think, what we have to talk now, short term, we're talking this summer.
So Mitch, what is in the structure protection trailer that is not a sprinkler, bracket, a hose, or one of these things that can go on the back of a truck?
Number of other things, lots of valves, distribution hose. The way that trailer works is, if we're talking about, asset protection for a single home, you got a couple sprinklers on, a couple tag lines dropping down from the sprinklers, the homeowner ties it into their, garden hose bib, they're off to the races. The trailer has tons of hose, different size hose, 2-inch pumps, it's got,
But like you
What
said,
do
if
you
the
call
houses
those
can't
portable-
pump it anyway.
yeah, what do you call
What's the
those portable
hose?
tanks?
Belly
Bladder.
legs?
Yeah, like it's not only bladder open tank, but portable tanks, it's got 2 huge portable tanks, so you can maybe set up a tank here and then a tank a quarter of a mile away, you have distribution hose, 2-inch distribution hose between them, smaller 1-inch lines, then breaking off to 3/4 and halves to the homes. So you can set up not just the sprinklers, not just the tankage, but a distribution system for X number of homes in a certain area.
So the structure protection options that you have provided to us today are the pools with the pools
Mhm.
with the $17,000 for the 100 packs of sprinklers, brackets and hoses.
Mhm.
And then the second one is the structure protection trailer.
Trail, right, which is a more integrated system.
So
As
which
well as
one
all
would
the
you,
hoses.
which one are you coming forward with as the recommendation?
How many people like Les and I are there right there? You
I,
know where I'm going with this, Les.
How many people what?
If you got people that know their shit,
Exactly.
right? Princess Auto's the way to go, not even a question, okay?
like for the 17,000 packs.
Right.
Or
If you've got a
100
bunch of
packs.
people that don't know how hydraulics work and hoses work and stuff.
Let's focus on those people, because that's our,
You'd rather have a system that's
residents.
integrated and it's a plan, click, 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 done. It's gonna cost a lot more money. You know
a lot
that.
more than the
But People
17,000,
themselves won't really be able to do much.
once they get
That's,
evacuated.
that's what I'm.
They'll either be evacuated,
That's
they're
what
not
I'm
gonna be out in the
anticipating.
backyard pouring gas into their
And that's
pump,
the other
fire it
thing.
up and.
Right,
Is if those are put into operation, who's overseeing them, making sure the pools aren't empty, that's a water.
right.
Who's driving around the truck with the
Exactly.
trailer on the back of
So
it?
there's different scenarios. There's a scenario that somebody from the fire department is driving around, different crews are driving around, turning the pumps on, turning them off, playing that game, keeping everything damped down. Depending on if you're in town, then you can just get a timer from Princess Auto to turn them off. There's a lot of thought on this. Don't think this is all fleshed out yet. We've thought about it all. We know there's a lot of loopholes there to say. But I think we'll get a lot of people from the community that'll be, they're willing to pitch in and go around. If it gets dangerous, everybody goes, and that's the way it is. Turn them on, let the pools run dry and run. But that'll be at the last minute. We know that. Those are the people who are gonna run for the boat at the river. Wes?
Okay, can we agree on ordering them 100
Packs.
packs for the sprinklers, right? Because once we get those,
I think that generally goes without saying, and I think that's the idea tonight,
right?
is that if we can get those on the way, they're actually in stock, they can be shipped.
So is there 100 hoses on top of the hill, or do we need 150?
Right, exactly. So a little detailed analysis will take a morning. you know,
Right.
to decide how
Don't
much we
forget
need.
4 Mile and.
And then we'd still do a number for the island too, to protect certain buildings, water plant, places like that, you know. So,
Well, because we can pass motion next week, right?
And can we also, like, at our community meeting, encourage people, because I don't know if we can, like, I mean.
I think we can do more than encourage.
Encourage people to go buy pools and to, like, that's what I've been doing, is, you know what, it's a good thing to do, like, it's a
Exactly.
pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, encourage so that we're not incurring every cost, right? 'Cause
Number
then
one
it
is
becomes, then it
make them
becomes
understand.
issues of liability and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
that
we're
I'm
not
bringing
just they
and all
got
that.
sprinklers, we didn't get.
You know, what's our like legally, like,
What's our
I'm not gonna
position
be-
if we're supplying all of this and their house still
still burns,
down?
right? Like, what's,
Are we liable?
because I don't
You're
want to.
saying call a lawyer?
I don't want to.
I'd rather not do that. I think, my opinion is, the more we do, the better. I don't think, it's like somebody helping somebody with first aid if they go down on the street. I think it's a good Samaritan act. We're supplying as much as we can fiscally, with the right intent.
We're being duly diligent in trying to mitigate as much as we can.
Yes, but I don't want to be creating dependency on how we do things, right?
I think that already exists to a degree.
Because that leads to
Um,
liability.
Will we
And
support that? Of course
We don't want to be start to take over the responsibility for fighting forest fires
Mhm.
when that's not our mandate, right? That there's,
And
There's some fine lines there.
ECE or ECC was pretty clear that it's not their mandate to do people's homes.
Correct.
So we're sort of in between it all.
I think at the end of the day, if this community gets hit with a fire and either we do well or we don't do well, we're not gonna come back and kick ourselves for saying, shit, I wish we never bought those people with sprinklers.
yeah,
Like,
Right, that
if
was
we have them,
$17,000
that
well spent.
$17,000 on sprinklers, like,
Yeah.
but we have them, people,
Something.
even if we say, we've got sprinklers here, you can come and use the equipment, but you need to set it up yourself, or you need to do this, then the onus is still on the resident. right? We're just supplying you some equipment that maybe they wouldn't have
Right,
had
and as a
otherwise.
village, we don't have to be the ones going showing them how to do it. We could, our staff,
Yeah, you do it with the
We've got
QR
enough
code to a
staff.
YouTube
we
video.
can do it, yeah, whether it's that or whether it's just after work on our own time.
Well, it's no different than you buying the taps for the sewer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good,
You guys cleared all
mitigation
the, all
for
the around your
backup,
house here.
and it's a similar thing, right?
Mhm.
So people could cap off their sewer.
I check my insurance, it is what it is. Go down.
Yeah,
I
no,
take my
that-
day to get here.
that's part
Your
of
day.
the public meeting too, is getting people to understand if it does happen, what do you gotta do?
Correct.
Walk through your house, videotape everything, flip stuff over, videotape the serial number, videotape everything in your house, open the drawers, right? I learned this once, just do it, then there's no question if something happens, you know, so people don't know that.
Yeah, I had a house fire before you had videos and those kinds of things. I remember having in my mind, having to go through, like, picture each room with what was in each room for the insurance.
Yeah, it's hard to sell them on the condition stuff was in it too, right?
Yeah.
The video, it's a little easier, they can generally see it, so little things like that, there's a lot of stuff to think about here, a lot of stuff.
What about the swimming pools? We're gonna buy them?
I think we hold off on that.
I think we tell people to buy them.
Yes, yeah.
See, I'm all for rebates and stuff like that, right?
I think, yes, I think the way we go with that is rebate on water. Never mind buying people's swimming.
Or you
pools.
you get the pool, we'll fill it with
Yeah.
non-potable water at no
Potable water
cost.
bill
Yeah.
free of charge.
Yeah. And we say that in the community meeting, right, like as soon as we have one, so that.
So which is the better night of the week, Wednesday or Thursday?
Bingo those,
Wednesday,
Thursday, Wednesday?
or no,
Bingo.
Thursday.
Thursday, not a bingo night.
So when do we,
Monday or
we have
Tuesday.
April 4th?
Of course.
How about if people pay for it on their water bill? Because, you know, a lot of people, they are struggling, right? They
Who's
can't,
got a
What do
water
you
bill?
pay for?
they can't afford,
I've been paying it whether I have one or not.
I've seen
Yeah, I don't think I want
there's
bill.
probably a lot of people who can afford, how much is a swimming pool?
The smallest one, 10,000
You'll be
liters, Canadian
surprised
Tire,
at
we're
what people
talking
will buy with-
$3.99, but that's Canadian Tire, Yellowknife,
So,
Everton.
so if you spread that out
Yeah.
over 2 years on a water bill,
Mhm.
we just ask them, do you want it?
Mhm.
And we're not forcing you, but we'll give it to you.
And then but then when you buy it and then you say you have to pay for it for 2 years and their house is burnt down, you're not
Yeah,
gonna wanna pay for the
I
pool.
think we just wait on that, Sean, until our community meeting, and then we can see how much people have that, right? Because I just worry about where we're gonna get all this cash from if we're not allowed to tax
Okay,
that
well,
$1 million, right?
we've got 75,000, right, from just moving.
We're gonna move,
Yeah.
reallocate.
Right,
around,
just
yeah.
reallocate. So, why don't we bring in, because if we're gonna order 100 sprinkler systems, ordering 100 pools, that's $30,000,
And then we're talking pumps too,
right?
right?
Well, yeah, don't worry about the pumps,
Yeah.
right? We gotta leave something for people to do.
Mhm.
I think people would be better off, we'd be
Right.
better off getting the pumps
And
than getting the pools.
Are we gonna get $400 pumps?
$400 pool. the
What are you
pump,
gonna- what can
I
the
think-
village use
I
after
think
the
last
fact?
summer I bought 2 of them, the high pressure ones, and I think they were 3 and 320 or something.
320? And that's
I
the,
think the village would
TA,
be better.
Princess Auto?
Like, surplus of pumps than.
The high
That's
pressure
what the
ones.
one-
yeah, if we can get 100 of
Think about
those.
the tunnel in front of Unity every year, think about the one
That
in front of,
Might get my
Top-
driver.
but I
Rec
bought
Center,
them
where
for
we're
the
always
solid
pumping water.
skids of those.
Yeah.
Okay, so all I'm calling them.
Right? A lot of places I go there.
I wouldn't be buying.
Could we, for our next Monday's meeting, have a
Options?
report with
Yes.
And just before he follows up on that, just remember what I said about the sprinklers, we'd still own them.
Yeah.
They'd be loaned.
Yeah.
This stuff would be loaned.
Wait, these 100-pack sprinkler kits are on loan?
No,
Yes.
From us.
No, From us.
We own
Oh,
them.
I think
yay,
that
yes,
would
of
put the
course, I'm
onus-
like, hold on a minute, that
Yeah.
was
Can I say
Yeah.
something? Okay, we're getting all excited about what the village is gonna do. Where does ECC fit into all this? Because I know they have sprinklers, their own sprinkler
They'll be
systems and that sort of
Right.
stuff.
Well, not necessarily. We may be the only one impacted this summer.
Yeah.
Miracle of
They have to
miracles, right?
cover all.
Yeah.
And then they'd have lots of stuff for it to support us.
Because, like,
There's a
all the
decision.
places that broke
It's
down.
it's mitigating risk at this
They're
point,
not,
right?
they made it pretty clear at the community planning meeting that their mandate, the other one of the
Mhm.
meetings we had, is not individual homes.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah.
So they're the bigger
The only thing we could do is state local emergency and then.
Yes, then they
Commandeer.
step in, yeah, and then we commandeer everything, right? Which you would probably be doing if we were that
But
close to it.
They're
all.
still probably
Wait
thinking
till they've rented their doorstep.
capacity of the entire town versus individual residents.
Yeah, that's right. That's their issue is the
Primary
Yeah.
infrastructure.
Yeah. So
So a report for next Monday with a couple of
Can I ask-
recommendations.
I also suggest to the feds, you know, like, I'm sure we're not the only ones asking to make some changes. I'm sure Hay River has and Enterprise, for sure, all of them. That we, you know, if we're not getting anywhere, get our MP involved for God's sake. Get Michael McLeod on it. That's
That's a good idea.
That's his role.
Mayor, that's your political,
I just feel that, this is, the time is of the essence. We know we're in the, like, the mapping shows critical, extreme here. And they've already gone through what the territories went through a year ago, so they know we need to adjust our
Oh, yes,
plan to
burning.
accommodate a new picture, a new.
Like, if we just start throwing numbers around, and I think this is to the benefit of the territorial government too, that,
They should be on my.
can you comment less on what you feel maybe territorial government has spent on replacing, maybe pick one house?
Oh,
I know this is,
like $250,000 a
Yes.
year.
I know a couple that were substantially more than that.
Crazy,
And,
eh?
and,
And then-
hey,
and then-
these
yeah.
are the small
But
flood.
that,
It's ridiculous.
Well, yeah,
Oh, yeah, absolutely, sorry.
When I saw the numbers flipping around,
Yeah.
I was tempted to just quit my job, build 2 houses and move to Mexico. That's
I
a
have,
great
we probably
idea.
can.
You can if you want to, I don't know why nobody else
I don't know
is.
if there's a commitment to replace houses that have burned in the fires.
But probably
There is
would be in the
some.
future.
It depends on how many hoses are burnt. If 3 burn, they don't
Enterprise might be
replace.
different.
If,
if it was, yeah, in Fort Simpson, because there's hundreds of homes, 20 could burn and they could say, well, that's not.
There's a limit they have to hit before they.
Yeah, and they'll have a number and
Major
it's
disaster.
kind
So
of,
I don't think we can relate what happened with flood housing to what could happen with forest fire.
yeah,
And I don't think that there's any real precedent that can say,
No.
it seems like it's all inconsistent, so
And we're
we just
still, Hay
work
River
on
has the
being
precedent.
proactive.
And we know the majority of people aren't insured up here.
Yes, that's. And wildfires are covered under insurance.
Well, I would encourage people to look into.
yeah,
some
see,
insurance
like for that
and-
community meeting, we can talk about those things, make sure your insurance is up to date, get insurance if you don't have insurance. Those kinds of things, right, like,
Yeah, because the insurers are, like, we just paid ours in January, it went up to $800.
Oh, yeah, mine that too.
And it's to do with where we live and knowing what's gonna happen, so that's a big jump for us.
see, the unfair part for the people up the hill is they don't have unlimited water, right? We do down here. So in one way, this is a little bit like the water sewer subsidy. You try to equalize things. How do you equalize it so they can have water when they really need it? You give them a swimming pool. You say, look,
Yeah,
because this is going to be the situation.
Think of all the
And we
pump
have
outs we'll
water.
have to have
They know
after
that. They know we can hook on and spray all the water we want. So what are we really doing to help all those other people? That's gonna be a question.
I'm all for swimming pools, right? Even like having them here so that people can come in and buy, purchase,
Yeah.
put them on the water bill, right? Give them options, right?
Pay some of it.
But I wouldn't mind 50 pumps too,
Agreed.
right? If we bring in pumps, and we can sell them for $300, right? I'm all for that.
Maybe that's the thing, get a more concrete budget together and then we can look at it at a meeting here.
options and recommendations.
Yeah,
And that's what it
option
is.
1, option 2.
So we'll quantify how many structures need protection on the wild roads. Sometimes it's not in the house, sometimes it's the detached garage, the apartment in it, a lot of people have. Sometimes the outbuilding, there's a few that have garages converted to homes. There's a couple of properties up there that have 2 homes on the one property. eh? So
Makes the bylaw.
we'll actually quantify how many there. It's not just how many properties, it's how many structures.
It's a non-conforming use.
Yeah, some people have storage buildings with their whole life in there.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be protected up there.
Yeah, well, it's about prioritizing, right? If you've got 3 facilities on your house and you're not gonna try to save one of them, then don't look at us to save 3.
Exactly.
Prioritize.
So I can't really push everybody that has the capacity to protect themselves,
Yeah,
to protect themselves.
absolutely.
But a lot of them, they just don't, their pressure systems are garbage, their tanks are too small, so even if you just give them sprinklers, it's
Not a
not.
lot of people have the whole.
Well, the ones that
size.
can, the ones that can do it.
Yeah, that's why I don't think we, I
Yeah, I
don't
have
think we.
a big enough tank to handle it.
Same, I got 4 huge tanks.
Yeah, and I've got a big tank outside that collects rainwater for my lawn garden stuff.
Yeah,
When you spray your water, how much pressure have you got inside your
that's
house?
pretty strong.
Yeah,
So is mine.
yeah, I think a lot of them are.
I just had to replace all my stuff though.
Yeah. Because they're kind of these diaphragm pumps or whatever, you know, they work for a while and then the pressure fades and then they pick up again. They're just not consistent high pressure like what you might want.
A lot of stuff just isn't maintained, you know,
Sprinkler system.
pressure tanks are waterlogged, pumps too small, 3 horsepower pumps, 3-quarter horsepower pumps, so.
You know what, check with, Hay River did put sprinklers on the homes that are on the highway there. They had to, because the fire was across the highway behind them, by the riverside or the lakeside. Find out what the hell they did, because they did.
And I think they had the trucks with the hoses in the back.
Yeah, they had
They had
things
some.
we were thinking of, but
Volunteers, yeah.
portable, tanks and sprayers, right?
Steve Anderson. they people and-
Yeah.
I think we could probably talk this one in circles or we
Yeah.
could wait till
Yeah.
Monday and get a
Yeah.
couple of recommended options.
I'd also like to confirm that you're going to use your MP if we have
I
to.
think that's a political stance that we need to take, Sean, that you need to, well, I think we need to, right? Like if we can get his pull, because he's got some pull,
I'll
you know, just,
see
yeah,
what you can do.
yeah, I think it's a good thing. You know,
Because our-
sit with Mitch and Daryl and Paul and,
Our old fire plan doesn't deal with this reality.
No,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Our reality has changed in 3
Yeah.
years, or whatever that was done. And that's attested to what happened in Hay River Enterprise, Fort Smith, our plans are different.
Justin, you need to help us.
I mean, the risk has probably always been there, in the 30 plus years I've been here, it didn't hit me like it did, after we saw these communities go up. It all of a sudden opened my eyes, that's really normal.
I think it's good to have that list when you call them, so we can just send it to them and you'll be talking about the same thing, right? This is exactly what we need. We have no other way of getting it.
Well, we could be creative, but we
We
shouldn't
could,
have to be creative
But
with
not when
funds.
we have the money
We
sitting there.
shouldn't have to redirect funds from other critical projects to cover something where the federal government has provided money for narrowly.
Yeah, and that's a problem, the money is already allocated, just widening up the reporting standards so we can include that in it.
Yeah, it should
That's
not be a
It's
problem.
that simple.
They don't want to pay the
I
bill
think-
at the end of the
I
day.
think the big thing is, I think you know as well as I do, the federal government loves to say, here's $20 million, and they know that there's enough hoops in between, only $5 million is gonna get ever claimed and paid out of it. So it happens in a lot of federal programs, it's too bad, but that's just the way it works.
But if we tried spending the money the way they wanted to, we could cut every tree down in this town and on the hill.
Potentially.
Well,
Don't be cut
see,
the retreat.
no, I'm not talking every tree, but we could cut down a lot of the fuel, right? Like all the pine and that sort of thing, right?
And what happens
If-
now?
if- if-
Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot on the corner up on the hill that's landscape, let's call it, right? There's only 10 trees on the whole lot, and it's like a couple acres, right? That's fireproofing. And
My mom's old house only has
Yeah,
like 4 or 5.
exactly, right?
On her whole property.
You know, like, the highways, garage and all that didn't burn in Enterprise because it was kind of cleared, right? A lot of it had to do too with people coming back and just putting sprinklers on a few places where
Well,
some
well,
lingering
that's-
fires
that's-
were, because it went through really fast.
On the hill, it's really, really tough and really tough to start or fight a forest fire up there because it's in the fuel,
Almost impossible.
right? Almost impossible. They'll be knocking, like, they'll be going in there with big machinery and like just knocking stuff over, right? It's almost impossible to fight a fire up there if it starts up there.
Yeah, if you were TDs, you were TDs, but
Yeah, well, we'll take that as a bit of a direction too, like Mitch will prepare a budget, we'll get a hold of Michael, our federal MP, and see what he can do to lobby on our behalf to get this changed as well. But we may also have to come back and take a look at it in terms of, you know, spending on our own.
Like, even in this day and age, like our wildland fire crews need to be working year round. Like, it's ridiculous that they're only working for 4 or 6 months of the year, and then this is wildfire is a very real threat year round nowadays. Like, it's ridiculous. I think, our wildland fire crews are a vital tool that we could be using right now. So, if there's some way that we can pressure the territorial government to, achieve more funding for their work, by all means, but
Okay, I guess that's decision to move in a couple directions there, Marjorie, so we'll do that. We'll have some
So
information.
did we decide on a community meeting yet?
yeah,
April
April 4th, okay.
Yeah, we'll have enough then to tell people, well, information, you got enough time to put a presentation together?
Not a problem.
Five minutes?
I wish I had a couple more hours today, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I would have liked you all to watch a couple videos tonight, but,
Just tell us what you choose.
just email them to us, yeah.
Email them to us.
then I'll get to talk while I'm going to school.
So is this meeting gonna be just about fires, or fires and a little bit of,
Both fires and EMO evacuation,
yeah, which has
emergency
a lot to do.
preparedness.
It's all emergency.
You mentioned the flood too. I mean,
Yep,
so
exactly. It's all
way in the
gonna be
background now, but we're in a drought, so a very unlikely flood situation, but good to remind people.
I'm trying to break my keys.
Like Stephanie said, you gotta have your emergency pack ready regardless, right?
I'm still planning on pack mine.
Okay. So the next item, the community plan, and we had our meeting, our public meeting. So what's the next step? And I think the consultant has got back to Daryl, to the office, and they're interested in meeting again with the council, I think, to get some kind of idea how to proceed from here with all the feedback that we got at the meeting.
I mean, they heard the feedback as well. I expect that they're going to be providing an updated draft for you guys to review. And then we go from there. What the content will be, I don't know at this point. And
So it'll be an updated draft with what the concerns that they heard the other night.
Is there gonna be another meeting? I think that there should
there's
still be
going to
another
be-
meeting, community meeting.
so there will be another meeting. And then there will need to be another public
So 2 more public
as
meetings.
part of the adopting process.
Yeah.
So I think it was, we came out of last Tuesday with some feeling that we're gonna have another public engagement session. Which will, is he locked up? Oh, yes. Yeah, that goes. And so that public engagement session would have the contents of the new draft for people to see and review and engage. Then if we get to a point where there's some consensus that the community
would be okay with this, this product, then we'll start the adoptive process, which would be the first reading, then the public notice and public hearing, second reading, review by GMWT, and once it comes back from them, then the final third reading. So there's still lots to do in terms of meetings and public engagement and tweaks to the plan. So that's where we're at. Yep.
I don't think we're gonna get to this till the fall.
I don't think we can get to it this year.
That's okay.
I was waiting for you to put the contact information, where to send your concerns, right? You said you were gonna put it on, online,
Okay.
right? So that I could say, okay, send your concerns to this address. Haven't seen it yet.
Yes, that was a commitment we made.
Yep, and maybe that's why the community plan's so far back, is because we're not really trying to let the community make any decisions or
Have input.
have any input. Seemed like that's what I caught at the meeting anyway.
Well, they definitely have their say. I think they were heard. It seems to me like most of the concerns, although there were other ones, but a lot of it had to do with development in the flood zone and how their property values and future activities on their own properties would be affected. So we have to come up with some way of allowing people to do things on the property that makes sense. And I just looked to our old zoning bylaw and what the requirements were to build in the flood zone. They were relatively simple. It wasn't like a huge deal. You just had to meet a couple of criteria. If your first floor was above the flood water level, so that's an elevation, right? I think we should have an elevation, not just a map of water around the island. Because some people might add 6 inches of water. Some people might add 3 feet. But an elevation is what you should be going by, right? And people who come to us with any kind of engineered plan to mitigate the floodwaters from destroying their house, that's really all you want to see. I mean, I did look at Hay River's one. It's just pages of stuff, right? No one's going to go for that here. That's just way too much. I think we have to rely a lot more on our own local knowledge when we're approving development permits. We know this area. We know what would be good and what would be bad. Right? You have to rely on your fellow citizens for that, who've been here living, really some people, all their life, right? So they know what to expect and what's reasonable. I think people living in a different place might have a completely different idea of what the flood looks like in Fort Simpson. We know what to expect and how it comes. So we're going to design that zoning bylaw and our community plan around what we have as local knowledge and what we can allow people to do safely and reasonably. And if we can do that, we're okay. I think people aren't expecting us to just say, build anything you want, anytime, any place. No, that's not what they were saying, but they don't want to be completely restricted from developing either. And it can't be made so onerous that they feel like, oh, you're just putting up a million roadblocks. You just don't want us to ever do that. So that's what I saw from the meeting. Yeah.
I think for the next meeting, a few things we should keep in mind, maybe a bigger space because it was a little crowded. If we could maybe have a mediator that kind of keeps things moving and kind of, because there was
A good chair.
Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth where people were speaking over each other. But if we had somebody, ideally, if it's somebody who's not seen to have any interest in it, because a lot of people kind of think that people are out to get them. It's either the counselors, like I heard a few people saying, well, council's just trying to do this, like they're just pushing this, and people kind of felt that council is against them or that, you know, the government is against them. So I think having somebody that's ideally not, yeah, then that's gonna be better. And maybe too, because those people that were speaking, I felt bad for them in some ways because they can't see anybody they're talking to. They were just seeing like you guys, right? So then they hear people talking, but they can't tell who's talking. And it's not so personal because they can't even see them. And so they're just replying to a sound they hear.
Yeah.
And then I think I think that one guy was getting very frustrated, and then when he said, well, you should be happy, a lot of people did not like that. It's like when you're fighting with someone arguing and they say, well, you need to calm down, you know, it just makes them worse. So yeah, a mediator, bigger space, and if they could, the person speaking could go to a podium or some, basically
So
just.
then
that-
they're talking to the planner.
Yeah, you know, like when you have a talking stick or you're the person that's talking, and everybody will get their turn. And maybe even if we had time limits, you know, we don't want to limit people too much because this is important, but maybe to keep things moving and, or if people write their questions and send them in,
Yeah,
that people can be prepared for what might come up.
I think that's a great idea.
So just a few.
Another thing we probably have to look at is the zoning changes we were thinking of making on top of the, on the industrial area. And on properties that aren't ours, I think we should either be talking to the landowners right now and saying, would you be comfortable with that, and getting their feedback? Because if they're not good with it, we shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a lot
If
of,
they want to come
There was
later
a
and
lot,
try to
yeah.
apply for some kind of special non-conforming use or something, then we'll take a look at it. But
Are we talking zone 1 or whatever, the
special mixed
special
use.
mixed, like
Yeah,
I would-
ENR,
Yeah.
ENR, all that? I
Yeah.
would just scrap that right now.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, the only one
That's-
that
I
we could
would take
even,
that right out of there.
yeah, the only one we could probably keep reasonably would be the one that's still, you know, down the road from, but that's a village lease. We can say we might entertain.
Are we talking the one closer to town?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, the village
We
lease.
can say that possibly could be a new health center or something, but that's ours. We
Yeah.
control that, right?
Yeah, I don't think we can tell him.
That's-
Landowners.
That would too was something that people questioned, and why are you trying to, you know,
Requirement.
basically change things that people may or may not want, and so let's avoid that. Let's make changes to the zoning bylaw around how you can develop in a flood zone to make it at least accessible to people in the future, so that properties are still, you know, worth what they think they are. And, you know, we'll just look at some other things too, and try to fix it, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't there, but I also think it would be maybe in our best interest to have the consultants come here and not be over Zoom, because then
It wasn't a very good.
it's, like Troy said, it's hard to make that connection. It's hard to have to have an actual effective dialogue when you're talking through technology. And I think that it would eliminate that whole need for great internet service, like all of those things that can go wrong in meeting. And I also think it just looks like they genuinely care. Like if they can come here and they can put some time out of their day to come and sit in front and maybe have a couple private meetings throughout the day with people that have, you know, huge concerns. And then, like Troy said, answer some questions or have some questions prepared in advance that they know are coming up. I just think it looks a lot better for them to be in the same room and not attending a meeting of this caliber via Zoom when they're the only ones not here.
The last thing I really noticed was that, you know, we had changed the residential from two different types of residential, the R2, R1, mixed them together, and people were concerned, like, if I have R1, now, next thing you know, I could have like a fourplex beside me or a group home or something, right?
Yes.
So that's reasonable. I think maybe what we have to do again is say that the village would look at, maybe it's a you know, it's not an absolutely,
A discretionary use.
it's a discretionary use, but it would always come up to the community and heavily weighted to what the neighbors have to say about it, right? Because, and that's kind of how it is now.
That's just the same as it is right now.
Yeah.
If you were to rezone your lot, it has to go through so many different steps. But what the perception is that the village has gone and said, forget all those steps that we expect the residents to follow. We're just gonna change everyone's. And so it's like if people, especially if people own their land, like we can't change their zoning from what they're at currently without them being aware of it and seeing it at a public meeting. Of course, it's gonna get emotions like really, really high.
Yeah.
But for land that's the village, absolutely, you know, where land that has been urban reserve in the past, like, then of course we have opportunity to change that. But I just, like we have protocols in place or bylaws in place that these people have to follow these steps so that they can rezone their land. So then we can't just
jump over that and say, but we're above this, and we don't need to follow that, like, it just looks, it's bad perception, bad optics.
Well, and
I
maybe-
also would like to recommend the issue of inherent rights and the indigenous question came up quite a bit. There needs to be some relationship building and support for our dental partners upstairs and down the street. So that we're looking like we're somewhat united, and we all have different roles with respect to lands. The municipalities do, land councils do, Métis not so much, but they need to work together somehow.
Yeah, and I mean, that's where we were trying to, I guess, be a little ambitious and say that, you know, we're gonna solve the housing crisis by just letting everybody build 2 houses on their lot. And we didn't really think like, we should be talking to the indigenous governments here about
They have quite a bit.
where new land developments could occur if they were interested in it. If they were, those things could be put into a plan, at least just for now, a potential area identified. Something that they would probably be in charge of developing, much like Noah Heights was. So, but I think that's where we should leave that kind of thing and not try to necessarily solve the housing problem off the backs of existing
No.
property owners here. There'll be cases where, you know, the odd situation is looked at well by the neighbors and the people on the lot, but I think people are scared of what could happen because if you write it in that it's just allowed, it's too much for people and, yeah, more
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
than less.
I think I explained I'm entitled to my opinion as a resident of Port Simpson. Honestly, I attended the session here and I observed something first. I don't blame anyone, neither the council nor anyone, but I realized that the planners, they never been here enough to check what's going on in the community here or discuss it with the very people who will be affected by their report or by their input. And that's one. The second part, I cannot do something which is just theoretically without, they even mentioned that their plan is not backed by any engineering or by any hydrogeologist who came and back up the plan. And that's the poor side of all that debate or all that discussion which we have here. And I felt, and I believe most of the people who were here, we felt that they were not ready even to have good presentation of what's going on. Like their answers were kind of like, they don't have an accurate answer to any question and the privacy in regards to, I believe one of you guys mentioned, oh, you should be happy with what, that was unprofessional from them. Those are the things that led me to write that statement, and I'm not gonna take it from Facebook, and I'm gonna put it.
He said they should be fired.
Yeah, I could say that, I could say they should be fired, and that's my right as a resident, as a taxpayer in this community, I could say, oh, you come and plan in my property or plan my property or make my property a flood zone which I could not develop without even scientific backup. I would definitely say that they should be fired. Thank you, guys.
And
I thought through that discussion, though, they made it very clear that they're waiting for the GNWT's mapping, which is supported by experts in the development of that mapping. That's what I thought I heard. And that they would, that would change and could change the lines.
yeah, the mapping itself is like, well, I think Les would agree, that's no problem. But what you're allowed to do on those zones where there seems to be some high water, yeah, that's what we gotta fix, for sure. I mean, people, if they're aware, oh yeah, well, I'd have to do some extra stuff there to get it built properly, then that's what we're making them aware and we're telling them there is an approach that can be used to get this development happening. So if we do that, and then we've done our job and people will be relatively happy. And we should do that before the territorial government comes in with something else. Because at least we can argue, no, this is our community. We do want this type of plan for ourselves. If you if you think that that's the way, no, we've already heard that's not the way. We shouldn't wait for them to come up and.
They will.
Before
Yeah, they will.
that's an important part of why we probably should get this plan done and fixed. Sooner than later. Yes, Les?
I don't think the territorial government will ever tell you not to build. They'll do what you said, like design around the flood,
Yeah.
right? And they've been doing it around the world forever, right? It's nothing new. I bet you I can call Yellowknife and have a plan in here in 2 days, right? That would work for, and it was in our last plan, like you said, that we are allowed to build in the flood zone. All we have to do is, actually, one of the guys that were at the meeting built to that plan, and his house was unaffected by the
So we
flood.
know it works.
Right, so it does work, right? The only thing different now is our base level got a little higher, right? Because the floodwaters were higher than ever before.
There was a lot more to that house that was built in the flood zone though too. They had to rezone that from urban reserve to even get it to become residential inside a flood zone before they could get the development permit to build in the flood zone.
Yeah.
And we're still capable.
And do they have insurance on that house?
As far as I know, yes.
How did they get that?
What else was I gonna say? Okay, flood zone, okay, I forgot what my original one was, but
Yeah.
if I think of it, don't, yeah.
So, I mean, if I get a chance to talk to those guys again, I'll be talking about those 4 points there. And,
What do you mean if you get a chance?
well, I will.
Yeah.
We all will.
You get way more chances than we do.
Well, before this draft comes out, so that they don't make another mistake, right? I don't want to go to another public meeting like that, really. So, okay.
I have a question, sorry, it's an addition, new agenda item. Did anybody from our council attend the NWTAC meetings that happened in March, beginning of March,
In Hay
No.
River.
in Hay River?
I was in Hay River and
They happened on March
even know
1st, 2nd, 3rd, that weekend. Nobody attended.
I
Okay.
was there.
But here we are talking about how we need an NWTAC to go to lobby for us against the feds. So did anyone know that meeting was happening? No.
I didn't.
Okay, all right, well, let's do better.
Yeah,
Let's do better on that one.
because, yeah.
Well, it's not entirely that. I'll tell you, like, the NWTAC has not actually done a lot of things that we have asked them to do.
But are we showing them support and going to the, like, are we even being present to contribute? Did we had a couple motions written up. Did those go in front of the committee?
They were never adopted as resolutions to
Yeah.
put in front of the resolutions committee of the NWTAC,
Okay, cool. So do we have a plan for action items to be taken away from these meetings going forward? So we can actually get some of these things that we discussed completed at meetings that happen once a year?
I think we were without an SAO for 9 months, too, so I think then staff.
Yeah, so moving forward,
Yeah,
we can't,
and
like,
we did have people sign up
Can't
to go.
miss
I think it was
I
4 or
was
5
gonna
people.
go, Eliza was gonna go.
Last year.
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
changed the dates, right? So that-
But I went to a wedding, I was having fun.
If I had known, I would have gone, because I was actually in Hay River. And I
doesn't
knew
matter
it
whether
was
you were
going
there or
on.
not, someone should have been in attendance at that
Okay.
meeting.
Yeah,
It's mind blowing.
yeah, because I got the news from, it was in UTAC today, I said, I'm going to get big word of this.
That-
He needs to. Who? Up in Canada.
I thought that we wrote those motions to
We did.
make to put those
We did.
resolutions into the end of ETAC.
I remember the dredging of the
Crossing.
the crossing, right?
That was,
Yeah.
that
Well,
was,
but we didn't get the official resolution.
So why not? Where was the where was the gap?
I don't know. I think it was just maybe we didn't have an SAO. There was a lot of things going on. It never happened. right?
If we have an SAO now, can we,
Get the minutes from the meeting?
well, can we cut out the NWT
AC meeting?
AC and just go right to the minister, let's say?
That's really poor form, actually, but.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
Oh, man, I
okay, let's-
completely missed that.
I know, right?
Let's start here. We'll ask him, and he can bring it up. Or do we start at the top and go down?
Yeah. And these kind of motions that, you know, pass resolutions onto their NBTAC to adopt, we can be doing that all year long, right? We don't have to wait till the last
Well,
minute.
we did it all year long and it didn't get us anywhere, obviously. We're here, and no one went to the meeting, and our motions that we debated for 20 minutes and the administration that was here was for nothing. We wonder why we're not moving forward. Like, here's a prime example. Anyway, I hope from here forward, now that we have Daryl and we're not, I know nothing on you, Mitch, for trying to wear 12 hats, but we definitely dropped the ball on that and we need to, we're gonna be responsible.
Yeah, it's generally good to go to the NWTAC and put your resolutions in there, and at least have them recorded.
Well, it would have been critical with the dredging of the ferry crossing because it has an impact
Or with
with
the
all the
fires,
municipalities all the way up.
or
and
with
with
the
the
fires ongoing, like, there was probably a lot of stuff that
We
we
would have
probably
had
should have.
support for that because Hay River had to garden that for their area. And they had that problem.
And yes, since the dredge is in the area, right, it's very easy to get it here.
And the feds used to pay for that.
Okay, so, do we have any camera? No. All right, well then, let's adjourn our meeting, folks. Waz already had to leave, he had, nobody at his hotel there, so he took off, but we'll adjourn with, any discussions, like you say, action items. Well, I think Mitch is gonna make a budget, breakdown of the equipment, options of things we can purchase. As soon as we have that list, I think the SAO, Mitch and myself, maybe the fire marshal there for ourselves, fire protection guy, we'll phone and talk to Michael McLeod. But we have to put something in writing, right? You can't just talk over the phone. We gotta have a little thing in writing.
I think you've gotten pretty
We'll
well
line it up.
on the basis of that. with
Yeah.
All this discussion.
And even if we can get NWTAC on the line with him, that's good, but, you know, he does talk to them a lot. Those are the main things, right, this meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. And, yeah, that's it, then, well, let's call our meeting adjourned then, okay, thanks, everybody.
Can I